Thanks, gentlelady. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Virginia, Mr. Griffith. 3 minutes for an opening statement, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and I do appreciate it. I support the concept of both bills, but I do believe we need to resolve an unintended consequence inside of H.R. 181 dealing with annuities. Now, I'm working with staff to try to come up with proper language and so forth, and we'll hopefully have that ready for the full committee. And what it deals with is the community spouse annuity section, because when you have a community spouse, most of the time this is going to make sense because the annuity would have been purchased with marital assets. But there are going to be situations where an annuity is purchased with non-marital assets. In Virginia parlance, that would mean that the money was a sole, separate, equitable estate of the community spouse. This can happen several ways, and there are probably some I haven't thought of, but it can happen because an annuity may be purchased by a wealthy elderly parent for a child within the 60-month look back, because we don't always know. We always think about it being somebody who's older, but that spouse could be somebody who's younger, who unfortunately has a stroke or something like that, and a parent has bought an annuity for their child, not the institutionalized spouse, but the community spouse. That's separate property under the laws, at least of the Commonwealth of Virginia. Likewise, an annuity could be purchased out of funds considered separate by the rules of the state, because when you have a later marriage in life, a lot of times those folks come in with assets, and the property that they had prior to the marriage is in fact separate property. Last but not least, it could actually have been anticipated that a purchase would be made out of separate assets in a prenuptial agreement in that situation. So here's the dilemma that we have. I fear that unfortunately, and it's an unintended consequence, that if we don't change the language, we may actually be encouraging and in fact incentivizing divorce. Because in each one of those examples I named, at least in the Commonwealth of Virginia, those assets would be sole separate property which would be protected in a divorce action. And if they don't get a divorce under this bill, the federal government would be coming in for Medicaid purposes and taking it for the institutionalized spouse from the community spouse. We would like to think that people wouldn't do such things, but if there's a significant amount of money laying on the table, I submit to you that they will. Now, I know this was not the intent of the bill, and I know that we can craft language that will make an exception that recognizes the state laws as regards separate assets. So I look forward to working with the committee on this and having something ready for this when we get to the full committee. Thank you very much, and yield back.
Gentleman yields back. Chair thanks the gentleman.